Welcome to another episode of the Cybersecurity Boardroom. I'm your host, Vince Shoto, and I'm joined by my co-host, T Soul. What's going on, T?
What's up, Vince?
Everything good with you?
Everything's good. So all good in the neighborhood. Like, you ever heard of pig butchering scams?
I have no idea what that is. What is it? So the term
Well,
pig butchering comes from scammers' practice of fattening up their victims by building trust over time before slaughtering them and stealing their money.
that'll do it. That makes
Okay.
sense.
All right. So it has nothing to do with farming. All right.
No, no.
So these
Um,
guys, so these guys, what are they? They were Chinese.
Chinese. I don't. I guess is national the right word? Are they Chinese national? They're
Okay.
Chinese citizens in the
They were
U.S.
operating out of the US.
operating out of the U.S. Scamming folks,
Hmm.
getting on the Tinder, getting on the Instagram, getting on Facebook, and fattening these people up for the slaughter. But when I look at something like that, I mean, I know it primarily involves crypto, but when I look at something like that, it just makes me think about phishing. The thing is, like, when we think about phishing, we're usually thinking about it in a business context. So we're trying to protect
Yeah, man.
business data, but it's important to be aware of this stuff even personally,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know?
Yeah, it's not just business related. It's not just your LinkedIn.
Yeah. I mean,
Anybody that's gonna come at you is going to come at you from a social perspective. That's what worries me about all these deep fake things and all this stuff that's happening with the new version of ChatGPT. I mean, in theory, you could be falling for a deep fake. It could be speaking with you while researching your social profiles, giving you things that are relevant that make it sound and think that they know exactly who you are, or they're gonna adjust their line of questioning or their interaction with you based on everything they see out there. Pretty scary.
yeah. So, I mean, be aware.
Yep.
you know, do you hear about what's going on with DocuSign?
Why? What's happening with DocuSign?
So, I mean, this is kind of along the same lines there about phishing, but I mean, did you know that you can buy a DocuSign template
Mm-hmm.
uh, and use that to perpetrate these kind of sophisticated they're more than phishing scams, but basically what these fraudsters are doing is they're creating so they will gain access to an organization through leaked passwords and things like that.
Yeah.
They will identify, and so they'll move laterally within the compromised network to get information about contracts, invoicing, due dates. They'll figure out, who are your vendors, how much are you paying them, when are you paying them, and then
Mm-hmm.
what they'll do is they'll create these DocuSign templates, send them to your vendor, and have them pay them. The level of sophistication. So it's not like they're just fishing and just throwing stuff out there. They're going in, figuring out how you operate, figuring out how you do business. What's the workflow like, and then intercepting that.
It seems to me like one of those silent um, attacks as well, right? Because by the time you figure it out,
Yeah,
when you're chasing cash and your vendors told you they paid you and you've got to prove it and do all that stuff. I mean, that's
yeah.
that they have time to hit and run, right?
hmm it's not just with DocuSign. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a whole market, and there's marketplaces
Mm-hmm.
for all kinds of templates, DocuSigns, phishing campaigns, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just DocuSign. Any sort of file transfer or signature application is something that can be templatized and
Mm.
weaponized.
Rosie's asking me what DocuSign is. DocuSign is a software that you use to sign contracts. So you don't have to physically sign them on paper anymore. You sign them through this application.
Yeah,
And it's not the only one. There's other ones. So what T means is that there's multiple or similar systems, and all of them pose a risk. So you do all this stuff online. They can go in, they can change account information because typically the stipulations will be where to send the money and so on and so forth in the contract. And so they'll just modify that to repoint it elsewhere. And that's why I say it's silent, right? Because they can do all that. You don't know that you never got the money. right? Until you start looking and saying, "Hey, when's my money coming in?" And it's too late at that point. They're gone.
Um,
You're an in-house producer, Rosie. I'm looking at you. That's all.
so over the last few episodes we've done,
Mhm.
we've been seeing everybody getting breached left, right, and center. Healthcare agencies, but not only healthcare, also folks in the financial services domain. And, we've been talking about for a while that regulators are going to start to ramp up
Yeah.
crackdown, right? Well, the SEC actually announced that it's going to adopt a new data breach reporting regulations for some financial firms. So let's see. So they've actually got to give notice of a breach within 30 days if customer information is accessed by an unauthorized user. And actually, let's see, this is an amendment to current regulations. That's going to go into effect 60 days after publication on the Federal Register. Larger entities are going to have 18 months to comply with amendments. Smaller entities are going to get 24 months. So the gist of this is new rules, new reporting requirements are going to be coming down
Hmm.
in financial institutions, which basically says, hey, you've got to communicate breaches to customers, and you've got to have a communication plan. And I know that's something we talk about a lot, but it's not one of those things where you want to wait till the moment you have a breach to start coming up with a communication plan.
Yeah,
And
you can't. So it's too late for the clients, right? But it's
yeah.
also too late for you to do an effective job at it. And because you're not able to do it, you put yourself at risk for all these fines. I think the message is clear on this one. So they're getting serious. They're giving us the rules, right? They're the rules of engagement here, and they're going to take action when we miss. Communication's key. We say it all the time, man. You got to plan for that stuff. You
Mhm.
don't plan for it, you're going to plan to fail, and then you're going to face the repercussions of fines. You're going to face the repercussions of dissatisfied clients and whatever else that they're able to bring
Mhm.
to you from a liability point of view.
I thought this one was kind of interesting here. So, IBM,
I know IBM.
they are actually, let's see, they're selling a business unit. Yeah, so they're exiting from the cybersecurity software sector overall.
So hold up. So IBM is exiting from cyber overall.
From the cybersecurity software sector.
Okay,
That's all right. My
it
wife
can't
had
be
never,
that big if you don't know about it. It's
my
huge.
wife had never heard of them.
What?
Yeah, sounds like
IBM?
yeah. I don't
Who
know. It
doesn't
must
know
be
who IBM is?
there's people out there, I guess.
Oh, that blows my mind.
Yeah. So
Why? Because it's a huge company. I mean, I don't know. I guess I just grew up knowing who's Microsoft, who's IBM. I mean,
they're selling off QRadar, or they're selling the whole QRadar software as a service portfolio. They're selling it off to Palo Alto. So there's a shift right now in the industry, shifting from point solutions to a platform
Yep.
based.
Yep.
That's happening.
Yeah.
And this deal with IBM and Palo Alto that highlights that shift, that trend.
Yeah. So there's a couple things on that, right? So the shift over to a single platform addresses a lot of issues, right? We're talking app sprawl, the efficiency, effectiveness of working within one system as opposed to having multiple systems that you're working in, throughout all the phases of cyber. There's a lot of benefits out there. It's interesting that they're getting in this game and that IBM is getting out of the game. So I wonder what the strategy is there. However, it going to Palo Alto means that it's going to obviously mature or progress. There's also some people, though, playing devil's advocate. There's also some people that don't believe in that. They believe in having multiple EDRs to hedge their bets, right?
Yeah,
So
and that makes sense to have a layered protection there for sure.
right. Very interesting. All right. Cool.
And I think it's good for consumers too,
Why is it good for consumers?
because they're going to be able to accomplish more and spend less.
One would think, right? Unless, the price is still unattainable. I think if we're talking about this type of approach, I think having a cost-effective solution is obviously going to be key. right? Because you want to be able to address the SMBs. You don't want to build these solutions that are only available to the larger organizations. We've got to de-risk, and mitigate the impact of cyber across all industries, across all businesses. Whether you're
Yep.
making a lot of money or you're not making a lot of money, whether you're a startup or you've been in business for 30 years, if you're multinational, local, it doesn't matter. You need to have a cyber solution. And so I'm all for it as long as the price point makes sense and it doesn't make it so that people keep putting it off and don't make it part of their core strategy when they start their business, and they don't make
Yep.
it part of their core strategy until they've hit a certain size.
Earlier we were talking about that pig butchering scam,
Yeah.
crypto scams. So there's a thing. It's called Antedot.
Antedon.
Antedot.
Oh,
Antedot. Yeah.
how do you spell that?
Antidot. Antedot.
Would that be antidote? How do you spell antidote?
Antedot's got an E on the end.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, forget it.
Come on, Vince. No spelling bee win for you.
No.
But so Antedot it's a type of malware, and it displays fake Google Play update pages. Does this in multiple languages: German, French, Spanish, Russian, Portuguese, Romanian, English, specifically targeting people in those domains or in those regions. And they're using these overlay attacks and key logging techniques, and they're harvesting sensitive information. So basically, you think you're doing a Google Play Store update, and instead you're downloading malware that's logging your keystrokes. They're gaining access to your banking information. Just keep in mind, this is the Google Play Store. Google, they were not the ones to identify this malware. It was actually a third-party research organization. What's it called? Cubicle.
Okay.
So I don't know what the recommendation is from Google. Let's see.
Well, one thing I'll tell you is that when you're not certain, certainly don't trust an email. I never click updates from any email that I receive. Don't click updates from any text that you receive, right? That may redirect you. I always try to look at the details behind the email addresses to see if it's something that even makes sense. But even that's not foolproof.
Yeah.
And when you're not certain, go directly to the source. You can remove an app and reinstall an app. You can go directly to Google Play and update it there.
Yeah.
Yourself. Just don't do it via link.
Okay. Prevention, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, right? But install software from official sources. I think you kind of covered that, right?
Yeah.
Use reputable security software. There's a feature called Google Play Protect, and that actually helps detect and remove harmful apps from your devices. Of course, be cautious with permissions, exercise caution with links, keep your software updated.
Things happen and, you forget and you sometimes inadvertently do things. So, if you feel that you've done that, what's the best approach?
If you feel like you've done all those things?
No. So if you feel that, maybe I did click on a link or I'm not sure, and now do I actually have this malware on my computer or on my smartphone? What do I have to do?
I mean, what would I do?
Yeah. You have to flush the whole thing?
I would probably take it to a professional. I mean, if it were my phone, I don't have an Android device, but if I had something on my iPhone, I would probably take it to the Apple Store.
Right. So you said there's security software you can run also.
Yeah, I mean, you can run that. I wouldn't trust myself to run it.
Right. I find it pretty scary because, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So who's a professional? Who would you take it to? Would you take it to Best Buy?
Yeah, Geek Squad.
Yeah, you go to Geek Squad. I guess it's good for them, right? But that's interesting though, and I just think of scenarios where like my parents or something are asking questions sometimes, or they click on something and they say, "Hey, am I supposed to click on this or not?" And then I always worry about, well, what if they did click on it before calling me? How do I make sure that they didn't do anything that is damaging their or risking their security? So
I would think, if I thought I downloaded something like that, and of course this is under the assumption I knew what it was, that they were logging keystrokes, I'd probably go right to the bank and lock that down first.
You could freeze your credit. You can freeze your bank cards, your credit cards. You can do that. You can temporarily freeze them all now. It's all common features. So I think that's maybe a first step if you're not sure. Go through, do that first, and then try to identify whether or not you've actually got compromised on your environment. And if you don't know how to do that, yeah, you got to go find a pro that can help you out.
Yeah.
I not everybody is savvy enough to be able to identify and then remediate.
Yeah.
So if you don't know how to do it, you'd probably have to go to wherever it is you purchased, your device,
Mm-hmm.
and get them to assist you and to validate. And ultimately, I think if you just go through and you can, reinitiate your device, so through erasing it and then reinstalling. I know it sucks, but that's the ultimate thing that I would do if I wasn't sure. Is that all we got?
That's right.
Do we have any breaches that we saw? Anything that happened?
So here's an interesting one. Santander
Yes,
Bank.
the bank.
Yeah, so they actually had a breach.
Really?
Yep, and it was through a third party. We don't know exactly who yet. Of course, when these things happen, we oftentimes don't get the information initially. But yeah, so they had a bunch of customer data breached. Yeah, so they're saying that no transactional data, credentials, or anything that would allow transactions to take place were contained in that database. So, allegedly you're all good, but still, this just goes to highlight that third party risk there.
So this is a third party of Santander Bank that exposed them somehow and leaked out. There was a breach, caused a breach of Santander client information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we talk about on other podcasts and that we've had. We talked about third party at length. Third party is a risk. It's a big issue. You've got people, and third party to me are the two largest components from a risk perspective. And so you need to be serious about who you let in your environment and what their posture is. You need to know what their posture is. If you don't, you're just setting yourself up. You can't trust. Gone are the days of trust.
Zero trust.
Your business. It's your business that's at risk. Yeah, zero trust. It's your business that's at risk. It's your client's business that's at risk. You can't in good faith or in good conscience just allow a vendor to come in. You got to be really, really robust. And I know it's probably like it's not pleasant. It sucks as a vendor to have to conform and jump through hoops and demonstrate and continually do so. But we need to do it. We all need to do it to one another.
Yeah, so that was an interesting, I thought, but just not a whole lot of information on it just yet.
That sounds like a wrap, T. I appreciate the discussion. Look forward to talking next week to our viewers. Just want to say once again, we appreciate you. If you want to reach out to us, please feel free to reach out to the Cybersecurity Boardroom via Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or comment on any of the podcasts running on the Spotify, Amazon Play, all the common platforms. And to our sponsors, Cloud Warriors, appreciate all of your support. You can reach them at cloudwarriors.ai. All right, we'll talk next week, man.
Thanks.